So as the process goes, let me very quickly give an introduction about She Engine and the concept of She Converse webinars, and we'll then jump into it. She Engine basically, are you all able to hear me? If you can just write it in the chat box so that. Okay, that sounds good. So She Engine is basically an exclusive platform for all women professionals to find their most suitable opportunities. What we're doing is we're making smart use of AI and blockchain to deliver the best match between the kind of search of opportunities that you're doing and the opportunities which will actually create, design, and reshape your career. Now, a little bit about She Converse. We started a set of She Converse events when we started Shingen with an intent of bringing all the industry experts and all the HR professionals to come on a common platform and speak about topics which will be helpful to all women professionals. We have had very interesting discussions about pay equality or time management or how do you strike a perfect work-life balance or career 2.0. And we thought of taking the same concept from offline events to webinars, and hence the concept of She Converse webinar started. This is actually our 5th webinar, and if you all want to see our past webinars or want to join our future webinars as well, the link has been given in the chat box. You all can have a look at the past webinars, the kind of topics we are addressing, the kind of conversations we are having, and all of you can register for the future webinars as well. Now, today's topic is especially interesting for everybody because how powerful that topic is. We are today talking about power dressing, or how Elizabeth likes to call it is executive presence. I feel it's a very positive spin on the topic, right? So let me give you a very quick introduction to introduction of Elizabeth. Elizabeth has more than 15 years of experience in organization development and change management with a demonstrated history of working in the oil and energy industry. She's skilled at talent management, business process improvement, employee engagement, and organizational effectiveness. She's a very strong HR professional with various industrial experience. Now, today she's going to talk about power dressing, or how she's calling it executive presence. And very interesting thing about her is she's speaking with us right now from Brunei. I don't know how many people have heard. It's a very beautiful Southeast Asian country, and she's actually joined us from there. So I want to welcome Elizabeth. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining us. And I'm sure all of us are going to really enjoy this particular session. So I give to you, Elizabeth. Please, you can carry on with the session. Thank you. Guys, just before we start, want to give you a quick set of instructions. Once she starts talking, all of you will be muted, and we are going to have a question answer session towards the end of the session, which will be like 5-10 minutes. So all the questions that you have, you can start writing it in a chat box as and when we go ahead with the webinar. And then towards the end of it, we will be addressing all the questions. Okay, over to you, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Ankita. Thank you for that powerful introduction. I think the topic seems to be around power today, but if you see my first slide, let me just check. Are you able to hear me? A thumbs up on the chat box if you're able to hear me.
Absolutely.
All right, that's a yes. Thank you. And are you able to see the slides? Let me ask. Thank you for the thumbs up, folks. Are you able to see the slides too? Okay, fantastic. All right, a bit about me to add to what Ankita said. So I have 20 years of experience woman, Asian, brown skin, and Indian. And when I say this, at least about 8 years of my career, I've been outside of India. And in 8 years, I have been the only odd one out in most situations and most scenarios, where you see a woman standing in front of all men, you see a brown skin, and you see an Indian. So My first stint was in Qatar, and I do remember when I went to our operational plant. The Indian men were very curious to know, what is this Indian girl, petite, short Indian girl here? And then one of the first questions they asked is, "Are you a consultant? Are you a contractor?" I said, "No, I'm a Shell staff, and I'm with senior management." And they were like surprised to see, "Oh, and okay," and didn't take me initially seriously. So have these interesting experiences of working outside of India, and also being thoroughly judged while being in India for the way you dress to the way you present yourself, which is why I do not subscribe to the word power dressing. I subscribe to executive presence, the presence you could bring into when you are in at any situation that you're in. You walk in with a presence. And today I'd like to talk about executive presence. And executive presence not necessarily at workplace, it can also be in your personal life and personal situations. So I'm just going through a quick agenda. The agenda is, we'll just quickly go through, where did this whole term of power dressing come through? What is brand you? I truly believe in this the strongest. Who are you? What do you bring? What impact do you, how do you want to show up? What impact do you bring to situations, places, your executive presence, and the impact of social and cultural norms on the way we dress, and certain tips, as my own perspective of tips as we go. But if you ask me net at the end of the webinar, what would I like you to walk out with? I think I would like you to discover what is your style. It varies from person to person. What is your style? And how do you connect with your style? And how does it talk about yourself? If you're able to spend that time to reflect during this webinar and build a brand you, or at least take the first cut in identifying what is a brand you, I think I would say I walk out very happy from this. So it's all about expressing yourself here, and that's what I would like to get out of it. So if I were to move on to give you some background and history, where did the term power dressing itself come up to? As always, and I mean, I have a lot of men joining in, and nothing, I don't believe in bashing men. Some of my best friends are men. My husband is a man. So I don't believe in bashing men. But I'd like to say power dressing was a term that came from John Malloy, or John T. Malloy, in 1990s, mid 1990s. He became very famous as a stylist, as somebody who was saying, how do you dress for success? So if you look at the left hand side, he had a book for dress for success, and he also created a book for women's dress for success. And this one, he had multiple versions. The women's one, multiple versions, and he made more money out of it than for the men's. So why did he even start on this journey? Women were getting into organizations, and he felt there was a need to tell women how to dress to show their power and to be taken seriously. So he, from a man's point of view, put down a dress code. And you can see certain pictures here of what the dress code was: skirts, coat, plain coats, whites, blacks, checks, frill tops, no, not supported, low necks, not supported, have a bow, have pearls, and so on. So it's interesting that a man had to come up with this, and but we've evolved from there. Huh? So power dressing, if I were to talk in my organization, Shell, and I did speak to some of the colleagues in the D&I space also, they said, oh, we don't even recognize with power dressing. I said, I agree. And we all believe in executive presence, what you bring along with you, the presence you bring, right? So that's what we would talk about. And that's just to give you some background. Should say, being an Indian, my rate of speech is very high, and if I do speak quite fast, just chat in your chat boxes, just let me know so I can slow down. And because I do know there are friends and colleagues from around the world who've also logged in, so I'm grateful for that. If you see, what I'd like to bring in this one is, on the left hand side, or the screen that you see, there's one part where it says what is the right attire from a business perspective. And Margaret Thatcher, and Princess Diana was seen to show power through their dressing. But on the right hand side, you have other women who wore different kinds of dresses, different kinds of clothes. Mother Teresa onwards, who's not here, but who brought their style, and they were still seen as powerful or had their presence irrespective of what they wore. If they didn't have to wear coats, they didn't have to wear pearls, they didn't have to wear heels. So, but there were some who still wore the coats and pearls and heels, and that's perfectly fine. It's what you are and how you bring, or what you bring to the, to the space, to the situation. So that's why I wanted to show you a bunch of different people, women nowadays, who who have defined their presence through their clothes. Clothes and styling is a part of you. It is an innate part of you, who you are, what you believe in. Saying that, we move on to what I truly believe in. So the first question I'd ask you, and if you do have a pen and a paper, please write down as I'm asking you. And feel free to use the chat option. I will keep looking at it. Who are you? Or ask yourself, who am I? Give you 30 seconds for that. All right. The next question then. How do you want to show up? So I'm just adding another question to how do you want to show up? The person you are, who you are, how do you want to show up as through your clothes, through your styling, through your expression or essence? If you could take another few seconds to think of how do you want to show up. And just to help you, if I could give my example, who am I? I see myself as a learner, fearless, confident, and somebody who value adds. So how do I want to show up through my dressing? I think definitely my competence needs to show that or express that. But through my dressing, what am I wearing to show that I'm confident? So one of the examples is when I know I have a meeting and I'm going to stand in front of a crowd. I'm careful of the clothes. I don't want to be fidgety. I need to be wearing something that I'm comfortable with. And if I know it's a long day workshop, I wear the most comfortable heels, but I do wear heels. Samir, thank you for that. And Malika, thank you for the responses. Fabulous. Very good responses. Thank you. And that shows, so the question then for you folks is how do you show up? What kind of clothes do you wear to show your presence? The third thing is it's not just, the clothing is not just for everybody, right? It's for you first. It's absolutely how you feel. So when you get ready, take a just few seconds. I don't spend time in front of the mirror, and I don't have time, and I choose not to. It's a choice. But I do take a second to stand in front of the mirror to see, is this who I am? Am I taking myself the way I am to work or to an event, any event? Just be yourself, right? So I'll give an example I'm sure all of you have heard of Brené Brown. So Brené Brown, in her book, Braving in Wilderness, page 23, 24, talked about how she was attending one of the largest leadership events, and the event host and organizers had asked her to dress up professional. Come in business attire, Brené. And if any of you have seen Brené Brown's TED Talks or videos or her pictures, she's somebody who just wears a jeans, a shirt, and funky necklaces, very wild, loud necklaces that she loves, absolutely bringing her creative, wild self out. So this time, because she was asked to wear business attire, she ended up wearing black slacks, pumps, and a formal coat and so on. So and black trousers. And she was waiting for the event to start, and there were other co-facilitators or co-speakers with her. And somebody asked her, "So how are you feeling?" And she said, I feel like an imposter. I just don't feel I'm wearing something that's true to my skin." And so the speaker said, "No, but you look good," and gave a smile as if what we all have to play our part, kind of a smile. So Brenna immediately got up, pulled her suitcase, went to the ladies, and came back wearing a navy shirt, jeans, and shoes that she's absolutely comfortable with. And then she said, "I feel myself." And the speaker, who had first said, "You look great," actually said, "Oh, this looks like you." So Brené said, "I talk about courage, vulnerability, and authenticity. And if I don't feel authentic, vulnerable, and courageous in my own clothes, I don't think I will be able to go and preach." So my story, therefore, is to bring it back to you. Take those few seconds to see, is this me? Am I comfortable in what I'm wearing? And what presence am I bringing when I walk with these clothes? So first, how does your clothing, your dressing impact you? And the last one I would say about is be courageous. Know yourself, be courageous to try. Norms are norms set by stylists. Today is a world of influencers, stylists, bloggers, each having their view. But I would say spend time to form your views, spend time to create a style that lets your personality shine through. I'm just reading some of the chats and the fabulous responses. Thank you. Keep them coming. So the next one is, so what is executive presence, right? Executive presence for me is an emotion. It's the energy you bring in motion. How do you feel? Do you feel confident? If you say you're confident, do I feel confident? And am I able to express confidence to the person, to the people who are witnessing me, right? So I think if I were to walk you through this little picture, I asked you, so who are you? Similar to that, what do you stand for? How do you show up? How you connect with others is not just about dressing, right? But who you are as a person, because if you have to shine through from inside, it comes with the energy that you have, and that energy will speak. So how do you connect with others? How do you communicate and being present there? So I was speaking to one of my friends and an ex-team member, and I was walking while in preparation, I was walking her through, and she said the best example she could give for me here is, she said, "Elizabeth, when you walk into office and the way you say good morning just brings the energy and motion into the room," right? So what is the energy? What is the energy you want to bring in? How many of us know when we see somebody, oh, is that a good mood they're in? And sometimes you end up going and asking the boss's secretaries, boss in a good mood? And then the secretary or the driver or a colleague who's seen the boss earlier actually makes these assumptions and perceptions based on the energy the boss brings in, right? Similarly, you bring an energy, you bring that emotion to work. And sometimes the clothes, not sometimes, most of the times, It comes through who you are, what you wear, and how you show up. Yeah. With that, I'm going to give a small pause for questions if you have, and I'll look at this chat box if you have questions, just a 30-second, and happy to answer that. So Samir is asking a question: can an executive make a presence in loose casual clothes with spiked hair and heavy necklaces and rings? Absolutely yes. Right? And the answer I would give you is look at the executives. So I was reading some of the people in power and what they wear. So there are executives today, CEOs, and not CEOs, but powerful people still, who wear jeans, New Balance shoes, and hoodies. Who am I talking about? You know already. There's another bunch of people who wear black, high-collared shirts, t-shirts, jeans, and sports shoes. So you can bring your personality. I was mentioning about Steve Jobs, and I was mentioning about Facebook CEO Mark. Will you be covering specifics of what to dress and what not on certain events? So we'll yes, Shruti, you are right, and Neha, yes, we can bring that up in some time. So what does being comfortable in your own skin is? I will wear something that I'm used to wearing and not something that I'm not used to wearing. So being comfortable in your own skin is clothes that I'm comfortable in, depending on the situation and the place. Dress code in an organization, we are going to go to the societal and cultural norms, Neha, and I will bring that in. And Amita, I'm going to talk about being comfortable in your own skin with few more examples as we go in. Yeah. So I'll give you a short story, and I was telling Ankita and Murli in the preparation for this that I would use stories and snippets as we go. There was a period where I was doing my studies in India while I was staying in Qatar, and I was traveling quite regularly over every alternate weekend, if I'm not wrong. And my dad used to be waiting in the airport to pick me up from the Chennai airport. So the first week he had no comments. My dad has very specific expectations of how his daughters should dress. We are two of us, how his daughters should dress and how we show up and in different situations. So he doesn't push his thoughts, but he definitely will make a comment. So when he picked me up the first time, he had no comment. He was fine. He was very happy to see me. The second week, he was okay. The third week, he noticed that I'm wearing the same clothes every time when I'm getting off the flight. Of course, for me, I was comfortable. I wanted a clothes where I can, stay and travel and sleep in. So I was absolutely comfortable with what I was wearing. So my dad asked me this question when I walked out of the airport. He said, "Okay, let's walk to the car." And the first question he asked is, "Why do you wear the same clothes? Don't you have anything else?" So I said, "This is so comfortable, pa. I mean, absolutely, I can just sleep in. I can, absolutely comfortable." He said, "Did you see the people around you in the flight?" I said, "No." So did you see the people walking out? Would anybody even say you're coming from the Middle East, or would anybody even say that you're able to take a flight? I said, "Why?" He says, "Just I know you're comfortable, but wear something that also looks like you have more clothes, or you are. Don't tell me you don't have comfortable clothes." So then, to make my dad happy, what did I start doing? Every time I got off the flight, I started wearing different coats. I started wearing same comfortable stuff, jeans and tops or slacks, and then I would wear a coat, or I would wear a nice scarf, and touch up on the lipstick, or wear lipstick, actually not touch up, wear lipstick, so that he's happy. And then I asked him after 2 more weeks, I asked him, "Are you okay with what I'm wearing?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm good. Now you look like, yeah, I'm proud about you." So, why did I give this example? My dad did not see the presence. He saw a tired girl who finishes work, work week, manages home, comes in to study and give her exams, and he didn't see the energy in me, he didn't see the presence in me. So it was not about what I was wearing, it was not about brands, it was not about how much money was thrown around all me. It was all about, am I bringing the energy in, am I having the presence? Yes. True. So with that, I think if you want to start off in asking presence, is find a confidant. So I have my dad, I have my 17-year-old daughter, I have my husband who's highly critical sometimes. When I say critical, he says, this doesn't look like you. And then sometimes he makes comments like, you are compliant today in what you're wearing, and I will give you more about it in some time. So stand in front of the mirror. That's my first tip. Ask if this is you. Do I feel in my skin? Am I comfortable? Second is ask a friend for some validation, and it's okay when you are making your style statement and as your style expression and as you're experimenting, it's good to always check with somebody and being your authentic self. So culture and societal norms, and let me start with um, with probably a set of questions for you. So if I ask you a question such as, how many of you have formed your style because of your first job or some mentor or a coach who told you this is the right way of dressing up? Show of hands, please. Or probably a parent, probably a friend who said this is the right way to wear clothes. Not me. Very good. Or somebody who's given, some of you say yes. How many of you started wearing or identifying your style because you want to be unique? All right, thank you. How many of you have gone around the whole trend thing, fashion merry-go-round? This blogger, this stylist, this influencer said this is it, and this is the hot, the hot style in the market. How many of you ended up choosing something like that? Great to know. Some of you did not. Super. You do experiment. That's good. How many of you wore clothes not to be overlooked, not to be invisible? All right. So let me give you, thank you for all your responses. And I'm going to give you my little snippet of a story here. So the first time I moved to the Middle East, and my husband joined in, husband and daughter joined in about 2 months later. So in the 2 months that I was alone, I started traveling by myself around Qatar, getting to know Doha better. And so when they came in, I was very impressed to take them and show off a restaurant I found. I haven't been inside yet, but I found a restaurant. I heard the food is fantastic. So, and we were living in a hotel apartment then, because we were yet to find a place. So this was the first week of them coming in. Packed them in I think I took them walking because this was quite close. So of course, when I take them walking, I wore my sports shoes. I wore, the leggings, which were the sports leggings, and I wore a sports T-shirt. My husband had come in with his luggage and my daughter with their luggage, so they were dressed a lot more, not sporty like me, but in comfortable clothes. And then we walked to this restaurant, which is probably a few kilometers, and it was not too hot. It was manageable. Went and sat in the restaurant, the three of us, and I asked for the menu. The staff in the restaurant gives a menu to my husband. So I said, okay, maybe this is very cultural. And maybe he's taught not to give the menu to a lady. And then I asked him for water. And I'm doing all of this because I know the place and I've been there earlier, right? So I asked for water. He comes and keeps a glass and water for my husband and daughter and not for me. I find this weird. I said, is this still cultural? Is he ignoring me because I'm a woman, or is there something else? Then he comes and gives us food. We order, he gives us food. He serves my husband and daughter. He doesn't serve me. Now, when my Qatari friends came to know about this later, they said that is very disrespectful, Elizabeth, and we would, we would not be happy if you were treated that way. So it's not a reflection of Qatar. It is just that how I came across to them. So then on reflection and few more trips of going around restaurants the other days, I realized I probably was considered a maid of my husband and my daughter. So they didn't see that as husband. They thought that's a boss and the boss's daughter, who were fair skinned. Here is a brown girl wearing no makeup, no lipstick, flat shoes, wearing, absolutely like sporty clothes because she was comfortable in. So probably she is a maid or a nanny with the little girl. Once I realized that, and this is my own reflection, what I did is I started making small changes. I just wore a lipstick and I started wearing, and I didn't wear jewelry, folks. So I started wearing a watch. I started wearing my rings. I wore a earring. I brushed my hair. I wore a lipstick and took a handbag with me. Once I started doing that, the restaurant staff started giving me water, the menu card, and serving my food. So that is to give you some of the, yeah, thank you, Neha. Yeah, so I've gone through that, and then I realized, okay, so it's not his fault. That's what he is surrounded with. What can I do to fit in? Just be natural to yourself. Maybe you do the sports thing in a sport, in a sporty area, when I'm doing sports, and I don't have to do that when going to a restaurant. So dress up when you go to a restaurant, but doesn't mean I'm doing anything unnatural. I would all maximum do is wear a lipstick, wear my jewelry, take a handbag, and wear not sports shoes. So that's another thing. I started going to work wearing sports shoes on Fridays because for me that's comfortable. And in India, I used to do that. And they were saying, did you go on my colleagues used to ask, did you go on a run or something before you came to work? And I said, why are they asking this? And I didn't relate. And then I realized, okay, sports shoes not for work. You have to wear work shoes for work and not sports shoes. So that's what I mean by know your culture and societal norms. You need to know when you're going in front of, in a meeting, you need to know what to wear. You need to know the custom of the place. So I have fantastic Qatari friends who wear who wear abaya. For somebody who's not used to the culture would see just the black, but there's so much of style, there's so much of presence, there's so much of expression that they bring through their abaya, through their jewelry. You would see the Middle Eastern men wearing same white, like it'll look for us like one piece dress, but you would see how they take care in the watch they wear, the pen that they have, the cufflinks, spectacles, and so on. So there's style. If you see clothing as limiting and jewelry and accessory as limiting, it can be something limiting to you. But if you see as something that can bring in your style, your expression, your presence, it really doesn't, clothes do not stand in your way. So I'll give another example. Now I'm in Brunei. In Brunei, we have a dress code. So the dress code that's asked of in the country, and so was in the Middle East, was don't wear sleeveless. And that's the purpose I wore this today. Don't wear sleeveless. In fact, my daughter asked me when I got dressed and came and said, Mom, you're wearing sleeveless? I said, yeah, I'm not, this is a call and I'm comfortable. So we are asked not to wear sleeveless in public. We have to cover our ankles. We have to cover our knees. That's why my husband says you're wearing Brunei compliant clothes when I get ready. But Bruneians again have beautiful baju kurongs, like similar to the abayas, but not the same style, of course. And they still bring their presence and beauty, men and women, in their own way. So yes, there are cultural norms. Yes, there are societal norms. It is important to know where you are, the place you are, and wear accordingly. So I do have few of my, I think my husband's cousins who vlogged in also. I'll bring another little story. If my husband, my daughter, and I were to go to our native, the way we wear our clothes to my husband's native, the clothes we wear is completely different. I'm not going to wear my shorts and t-shirt in the native. I would wear salwar kameez, I would wear saris, I would wear clothes that is respectful to the elders around, and it makes them absolutely comfortable. It makes me comfortable, and it's true to me. Yeah, for somebody who sees me, they will see different clothes. It's because wearing multiple kinds of style doesn't mean, or presence doesn't mean wearing the same thing over and over again. Yes, mark Mark Zuckerberg did that, Steve Jobs did that, but you don't have to. You don't have to follow those norms. All right. With those two stories, I have to give you one more probable story before I go to the next slide. So one of my first job interviews, actually the first job interview that I went in, for all those Indians here, I don't know if there are non-Indians here, I wore a khadi kurta and I wore a white kameez and I wore a white chiffon dupatta. Fresh out of college, for me, that signified me. That signified my comfort and what I could afford. Went in for the interview. There were 10. I was the only one, probably one or two of us cleared the aptitude test and the interviews and all of it. I was confident I'm getting this job. Very prestigious organization and still one of the top, in one of the top Forbes listed organization. But you know what? I didn't get the job. And there was a senior of mine from college, from school, and from my university in that organization. So she called me that evening to tell I didn't get the job. And I asked her, why did I not get the job? She says, your clothes. And yes, as a fresher, I did feel sad. But the sadness probably stayed with me for a few minutes. And then I said, actually, no, if they can't accept me, they can't handle who I am, probably this is not the place. I have a better place to join to work. So I'm glad I didn't join the place. And I worked in multiple other locations, multiple other organizations, and I'm grateful for all the experiences that I have. Probably I wouldn't have had if I joined the other organization. So irrespective of the culture, irrespective of where you are, bring in what is your value system with family, value system that you have. What are the values? What is the presence you bring, and bring yourself in every place you are. So what is style, essence, or expression? And I'd like to give you certain tips here. The first one is go for balance. Yeah, who you are, balance it with what is culturally and societally required for you to wear. I am absolutely comfortable with shorts and t-shirts and sports shoes, but balance for me is it is not the right clothes to wear to work. So I need to know what is the balance I bring. How much of me am I bringing in the clothes that's appropriate to the place, right? Be fashionable, but you don't have to be trendy. So I, for one, do not believe in that you should have labels in your cupboard, in your closet. When you open the closet should look friendly to me, not somebody that's going to deplete my pocket. At the same time, not something that does not resonate with me. That's not me. So be fashionable, but you don't have to move from one trend and one style to another. You can still wear, I still have my 20-year-old, 10-year-old clothes, or even, older clothes. I was telling somebody, I have even tops that I have bought from Sarojini Market, absolutely fantastic tops that I still have, along with my highly fashionable and highly branded and expensive coats and dresses that I have by the side. So um, don't stick with brands. Be fashionable, be trend. You don't have to be trendy, but you can be stylish too. Think comfort. Comfort for me is I need to be able to breathe. I need to be able to move. I need to be able, it shouldn't catch me anywhere. It shouldn't be over tight because I want to look slim. I want to look wherever I want to look. It should be something that I'm able to breathe with. I'm able to, I don't have to spend, every time I go to the toilet, I don't have to spend 20 minutes just, getting myself ready to come back. So comfort for me is also in shoes. A lot of you, my friends here, know me. I wear the tallest or the highest of shoes. 6 to 7 inches is a norm, but my shoes are comfortable, and I would only wear. I have walked across cities, Delhi, New York, with my beautiful heels and absolutely comfortable without an ankle pain. So what's comfortable for you, wear it. Somebody who sees me would think I'm in pain, but I was absolutely comfortable. So it's easy to judge, but please don't. Just think of comfort for yourself, and your comfort is different from somebody else's. Adapt to your environment. Hope my Qatar story helped you with that. So adapt to your environment, and actually do a bit of preparation before you go to any place. Do a bit of reading about what is acceptable, and in those acceptable norms, what should you be wearing. um, the next one is adapt to a day and night style. So we all, whether if we are at home and if we have time, yes, I can change my clothes for the morning and the evening events or the night events. But when you're at work and then you had meetings all day and you need to go in for for a dinner later, I do not have the time to change clothes. What I do is I would just carry something extra. I would either carry a small purse, leave my laptop, take a small purse, or wear a different piece of jewelry, change the lipstick color, or wear a neck piece, or change my footwear. So adapt to your style, or choose a style that you're able to, depending on days that you have a long day, night and a day kind of work requirement. Choose a style that works well for the night and the day, and bring and wear that. And at the end of all of this, I would say it is all about projecting you. Who are you? So I was giving an example. The name that is given to me in Qatar, they used to call me Tigress. In Brunei, some of my friends call me Chili Padi. And chili padi is this little small chili that you have, which is when you bite it, it's quite spicy. Yeah. So what do I bring? I told you my value is I'm fearless, I'm confident. So the chili padi actually comes with the fearless sense of me, which I bring in through my styles and which I bring in through my presence. So it's about protecting you, your confidence, and what you stand for and who you are. All right. With that, I'm conscious, probably speaking fast, so that I can give you time for questions. If you can unmute in some time. But here are a few quotes that I found when I was looking through this topic. I'd like you to use the chat to say which is the one that resonates the most with you. Feel free to chat. All right. If you do not want to, I think we can also move on to I think the next one is I'm open for questions, and that way you get about 15 minutes of question and answer. Thank you, Tanvi. Thank you, Shruti. All right. So open for question and answer. Ankita, should I pass this on to you to make that happen?
Yeah, absolutely. Elizabeth, first of all, I want to thank you. It's such a, as you and we have been saying, that it's a very power-packed discussion, and the kind of insights you have brought, I'm sure they're helpful to all of us, no matter what stage of career or personal life we are. And when it's about developing our own style and understanding our own style and dressing accordingly, I think it made sense to all of us. Guys, we are opening this session for question answers. If you have any questions, please feel free to write it in the chat box, and then we can take it up.
Yeah, I promise to be absolutely authentic with my responses, so feel free to ask what you'd like to.
Okay, so I will begin with a question that I had for a while. So I come from advertising background, and now I've moved to brand and marketing, where I'm meeting senior professionals. So my style of clothing and like being present in front of people has been very very casual, because advertising kind of gives you that freedom from day one. From college you directly go to advertising, but now when I'm seeing that, does it kind of change according to what position do you hold in the organization? Like, I see a lot of these new professionals to come in with blazers and come up with so much makeup. I like to look at them as very fresh profession, something that they are standing for, like they are standing up for their style and this thing. But I'm not sure if all of us in the industry look at them from the same perspective. So do you think the level of level that you are in the organization kind of reflects on your style, or do you not care about it at all?
No, so level does not reflect. I probably can give you another example. So in Qatar, I used to wear brighter lipsticks and brighter, bigger jewelry because that was accepted irrespective of which job grade you were or how senior or how junior you were. But that's what they said, because I used to wear these little tiny earrings and they say, are you wearing your daughter's earring? And I used to have colleagues asking me that. So I was like, why do you say that? Isn't it cute? And they used to think, no, this looks like what our children would wear. You should wear bigger ones. But whenever it came to Brunei, Brunei is Asian. Brunei is more very, very shy, very happy country and bunch of people. So I wouldn't even wear loud lipsticks to work. I would be seen very differently. Nobody would say anything. They're very kind people. So, but I would wear more muted colors during the day, and in the evenings I would wear louder ones. Dressing, I would wear all colors. I mean, if somebody comes and tells me, a stylist says to show your presence, wear whites, blacks, bold colors like blue. You would see me morning. I was wearing an absolutely floral trouser with a pink shirt that I tucked in. So it really doesn't matter. It's who you are, irrespective of your position in the organization. Is what you want to bring and what is accepted in the environment you're in. Right. So Soumya has asked a question. Thanks, Ankita, for that, for the let's say circuit breaker or the icebreaker question. Soumya has asked a question, what's formal wear according to you? Soumya, if I'm in India and if I were to do a similar webinar, I would wear a sari. Especially in a conference and I'm standing in front of all, I'd wear a sari. In fact, when I was in Shell India or even IBM India, I used to wear sari once a week. I mean, that's my absolute best for looking formal. If I'm walking around too much and I have to, and I have lots to do, a workshop and stuff like that, I'll still wear a sari, but I'd also wear a skirt, a skirt and leggings and a top, or a trouser and a top. So, but what I do when I go in for external meeting, external stakeholders, especially ministries, regulators, I would wear a coat on. It shows respect to them, and it also makes me look formal. So I throw on whatever I wear, I throw on a coat. Does that help?
Oh, this is an interesting question. What do I wear for interviews? Is sari appropriate attire for that?
All right. So I would suggest, who is that? Who asked that question?
One second.
Is that Kirti or?
It's
Monica.
Monica.
Yeah. Monica, if I was in US or in Brunei or anywhere outside of India, I wouldn't wear a sari, because sari is seen as an ethnic, sari or a salwar kameez is an ethnic dress. In fact, they always will ask you, is there a special occasion back home? If you're wearing a sari, even when I wear a bindi, they ask, is there a special occasion? Is there a religious festival? So I wouldn't wear a sari or a salwar kameez, but I would definitely wear I'd wear a coat for an interview, especially if it is outside of India. And if it's India, I would wear a sari, or I would wear a skirt and a shirt, depending on the organ. I would do a bit of study about the organization and also look up how they have been, do they have norms or not, and I would wear accordingly. It's important to look a bit like them, at the same time, a lot more like you. So I would be adaptable and agile.
Guys, any more questions? If you
I think there is. So if I'm working in manufacturing, I think somebody has asked that question. If I'm working, so there has been jobs. Even now, I wear coveralls and I wear boots. So if you're wearing in manufacturing, flat shoes, trousers, shirts, absolutely to be one of the manufacturing staff, I would wear that. I would have a coat as backup. If I'm having a meeting, I pull on a coat. Otherwise, no. There's another question, ma'am. I do not feel comfortable when people perceive it differently. So I would say, you know what, everybody has right to their perception. Um, Feedback and perception is a gift, and you can choose which gift and which feedback not to open. So keep some away. And when it is from some trusted source, I would open the gift and the feedback and see what I could do to improve.
There are a few more questions there, right? So, Shruti,
Yeah.
Tanushree, there are questions. Ankita, you want to just mention them?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I'm just reading. So Tanushree is asking, although I'm well groomed, how should I ask my team to follow proper grooming? Oh.
So role modeling is the best way. I think most of the time, if the team members have high trust, they will start imitating you and role model and pick up from the role model they look up to. I think that's, for me, is influencing indirectly. But if it is directly that you have to, I would say do it in a way that it does not affect or impact their style and their value system. Make suggestions, but leave it to them. Of course, I will couple it with what is accepted in the organization. I think there was somebody else who's asking.
How to balance between being formal and with our own style or comfort? What we need to prioritize? Pawan is
You know,
asking.
actually, you don't need to prioritize between both. You can be comfortable and have your style. Absolutely possible. Know your style with every piece of jewelry and clothes that you wear. You can bring your style out. Few of our styles will not be accepted. If I'm going to a regulator and your style is to have spiked hair, please do not wear spiked hair with a ministry. Please, I mean, that is a formal or authoritative kind of an environment. Please don't wear spiked hair. Change your style then and have more, cleaner hairstyle. What I would do when I'm going to ministry, I usually tie up my hair. Yeah. Otherwise, I do look like a wild child. So I do tie up my hair to show that respect. But the rest of it is just me. And tying up my hair is still me. Yeah? It's very hot. If I have to, it's very comfortable to tie up the hair, and it also shows the right side. So you can blend your style and comfort. It goes hand in hand.
What is your take around colors, Elizabeth? Like, because some industries, like they are very, like if you look at lawyers, or if you look at some specific professions, you will maybe not see a lot of colorful clothing. So, like if you are a colorful person, or you are a person who would like to experiment with colors, but your profession dictates something else, how do you balance that?
So bring your pop of color. Huh? If you saw the picture that you posted for the webinar, we got guidance. This was a formal shoot for leadership team members in my organization, and the guidance we got is wear solid colors and don't wear blue, don't wear black, and so on and so forth. And I chose to be the fearless one. I wore white because I love whites, and I wore a colorful floral coat to prove that I can still bring my own self. So know how much you can challenge the boundaries. And for that, you need to first understand the environment in the organization. And you really need to understand what is possible, what is not, so that you integrate well.
Right. Harshit is asking, I've seen so many times gentlemen not wearing ties with formal clothes. On which occasions, according to you, can tie be left out?
So I am, of course, answering this from my own thing. So in our organization, I would only wear a tie when I'm meeting an ambassador. I will, my colleague would remove the tie off and have the coat if he is meeting peers in the regulators or ministries, or in with the LT, but won't wear a tie. What the tie does is to make it absolutely formal, and sometimes by you being the most formal in the room, you actually will lose trust in the room. So know the age. I think somebody asked that question. Know the age group you're meeting, know the experiences, know their titles, and accordingly have a tie or not a tie. Most of the time, without a tie works absolutely well. But if you're meeting somebody in a very formal, authoritative setting, wear your tie.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Guys, we have like next 2 minutes. If you have any more questions, you can just pop in. Wow.
Yeah.
There are some private questions asked of me, and I'm happy to answer that privately after this. I can stay back, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Ankita, there is a question asked by Shruti. When you have
Okay.
when you have to dress up as per what is culturally accepted,
Yeah.
but it's not who you are or what defines you, how do you adjust and accept?
Yeah. So find the balance, the tip that I gave, right? So if it's not you culturally, so for example, Ankita, I'll give my, or Shruti, I'll give you my own example. When I'm looking for jobs outside of India, one of the things I told my mentors and my sponsors, I would not work in Saudi. The reason because I had to wear an abaya. Not that I have anything against an abaya, but that's not me wearing an abaya. So you can choose if that's culturally what is accepted and that's not you. You can say no and be different. But if you have no choice, like some of you, or there's always a choice, I believe. But if you've accepted the condition, then find the balance of who you are and what you bring. You can still wear what is asked of you, but bring in your own style statements. So I have an MD who I work with who is wears, for lack of a better statement, wears Brunei compliant clothes, but she wears fabulous jewelry, beautiful jewelry to bring her own style in. So bring your own style to through something else.
Right. I think, Elizabeth, it's been so interesting that I think more and more people want to ask questions, but we have very few time, some time left. So we are going to close the webinar right now. Guys, thank you so much for joining in. As I said before, this is our fifth webinar and we are continuing the series in the next week as well. Next week, we have another interesting webinar which is going to talk about acing the lockdown, work and beyond. So as you all know, we still have like more than 10 days in India where we have to work in a lockdown situation and still manage a lot of things. So how do you kind of still be motivated and pursue what you want to do? So that webinar is going to be on Monday. On that note, I really want to thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for giving us time and having this wonderful session with us. I'm sure if there are more questions that people have, they can take up with her on a personal chat, or you can connect with her through LinkedIn and ask all the questions that you need to. Thank you so much, all of you. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, so if I may just close, if you have similar such chats, I'm happy to be followed on intentionally.feminine, which is my Instagram account, to talk topics like this. I'm very, I love the topic, being feminine and being a woman. So happy to answer any questions, but also I don't believe in men bashing, so men can ask too. Happy to help.
Yes, Elizabeth.
Super. Guys, the link is here on Instagram and you can follow her there. Thank you so much, guys, for attending today's session. And I hope to see all of you on Monday as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Murli, Ankita, for this opportunity. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.